Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Lieutenant Governor's Suite at Queen's Park. My name is Sarah Truscott, and I am the Private Secretary to the Lieutenant Governor, and I will serve as your Master of Ceremonies for today's historic event. In addition to the Premier and members of the Executive Council, I am pleased to welcome today many other special guests, including Elder Garry Sault of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Honourable Michael Fairburn, Associate Chief Justice of Ontario, who serves as an administrator in the absence of the Lieutenant Governor, the Honourable Ted Arnott, Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, the Honourable Hilary Weston, and Michelle D'Emmanuel, the Clerk of the Executive Council. Before the formal portion of the ceremony begins, I would ask you please to turn off and silence your phones. Let us begin with an acknowledgement. The province of Ontario is the home of many Indigenous nations of Turtle Island. As we gather in this solemn ceremony, let us be forever mindful of the enduring relationship between the Crown and Indigenous people. This relationship is formalized in treaties and now made central to the Crown's sacred honor. I want to recognize that the Lieutenant Governor's Suite is located on Treaty 13 territory, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and I'd also like to acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have called this land home for generations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honourable Elizabeth Dowdeswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, accompanied by the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario. I would now like to invite Elder Garry Sault to begin our ceremony with a blessing. Elder Sault.
Bonjour, Ogashige Higanen Indishnakas, Magazine Dodem, Mississauga and Dow, New Credit Dunche. And it's an honor to come here to acknowledge Prince Charles as who's turned into our king and became Charles III. So we as First Nations people deal with the Crown because the Crown is who we made the treaties with. And it's a long and glorious history that the First Nations have had with the Crown in the way that it has. So sometimes it bothers me that some things don't come to the attention of the government until it's too late. And one of them was our residential schools, that what it did to our nation, busting families and bringing drug and alcohol into our systems where the family lives are not there no more. So we're hoping that with a new monarchy in place, and that the government can once again come and bring the honor of the Crown back to Canada. Wichishen, O ma pendegen, anikena, anishnabe, menonagema, ma depima. Wahaya, wahaya, wahaya. Oh, my say, all of you, Wichishen, all of you, come. Come and help us sing this beautiful song. And the beautiful song that we want to sing is our language. It needs help. Miigwech.
Thank you, Elder Sue. On the afternoon of September 8, 2022, we received official word from the Governor-General of Canada, the Right Honourable Mary May Simon, that our sovereign, Queen Elizabeth II, who reigned as Queen of Canada and head of the Commonwealth for over 70 years, had died. On Saturday, September 10th, Her Excellency the Governor-General presided over a meeting of the King's Privy Council for Canada, whereby the accession of His Majesty King Charles III, King of Canada, was proclaimed with the consent of the King's Privy Council for Canada, and with letters patent issued under the Great Seal of Canada. It is a tradition for an accession proclamation to be read out in each jurisdiction under the sovereignty of the Crown. Today, we are doing that here today in Ontario. I would now like to call upon the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario.
Thank you very much. Your Honor, Elder Sue, Mr. Speaker, fellow members of the Executive Council, it is my duty to advise the Lieutenant Governor to issue the proclamation under her Privy Seal announcing the death of her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and the accession of His Majesty King Charles III. As the Chief Advisor of the Crown and Right of Ontario, it is my solemn duty to call upon the Lieutenant Governor to sign and make the proclamation now.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as you are able for the reading of the accession proclamation in both official languages by the Honourable Elizabeth Dowdeswell, the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. Your Honour.
Whereas our dearly beloved late sovereign, Queen Elizabeth II, passed away on September 8th, 2022, and by whose death the Crown of Canada vests in His Royal Highness, the Prince Charles Philip Arthur George, on that date. Therefore, I, and with the advice of His Majesty's Executive Council of the Province of Ontario, proclaim that upon the death of our late beloved sovereign, the Prince Charles Philip Arthur George, lawfully succeeded to the crown as Charles III. By the grace of God of the United Kingdom, Canada, and his other realms and territories, King, head of the Commonwealth, defender of the faith. And that the King may be assured of the continuing loyalty and affection of the people of Ontario, and their desire that His Majesty enjoy a long and happy reign. Given under my hand and seal at Toronto, Ontario, on September 12th, 2022, in the first year of His Majesty's reign. Long live the King. Attendu que notre regrettée souveraine bien-aimée, la reine Elisabeth II, est décédée le 8 septembre 2022 et que par sa mort, la couronne au Canada est dévolue à son Altesse royale, le prince Charles Philippe Arthur George, à cette date. En conséquence, je proclame sur l'avis du Conseil exécutif de la province de l'Ontario de Sa Majesté que, à la suite du décès de notre regretté souverain bien-aimé, le prince Charles Philippe Arthur George, a succède en toute légitimité à la couronne en tant que Charles III. Par la grâce de Dieu, roi du Royaume-Uni du Canada et de ses autres royaumes et territoires, chef du Commonwealth, défenseur de la foi, et que le roi peut être assuré que la population de l'Ontario continuera de lui manifester sa loyauté et son affection, et qu'elle souhaite à Sa Majesté une longue et heureuse règne. Donné sous mon sein et mon sceau à Toronto, en Ontario, le 12 septembre 2022, première année de règne de Sa Majesté. Vive le roi.
We will now conclude the ceremony with the singing of our royal anthem, God Save the King, followed by the departure of the Lieutenant Governor. To lead us in this, please welcome Warrant Officer Victoria Wickett of the Governor General's Horse Guards. This concludes the formal portion of today's event. The provincial memorial service for Her late Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, will be held at the Cathedral Church of St. James in Toronto on Tuesday, September 20th. The national memorial service for the Queen will be held at Christ Church Cathedral in Ottawa on Monday, September 19th. More details about these ceremonies are to come. Thank you all for being part of this historic moment, and on behalf of Her Honour and the Premier, thank you all for joining us.